This is difference video number 3, and it's about luxury yields. What I mean is that the yield of these luxury tiles. So you have a citrus here, sugar here, silver here. The yields of them have been changed in LECMOD, and the change is quite significant. The basic problem you had in the base game was that there was a significant difference in strength between the different types of luxuries. And this is because when you're improving luxuries, you normally improve them by 1 yield. And that yield would either be hammers, food, or gold. So for mining luxuries, you would get an extra hammer. For the food luxuries like citrus, you'd get an extra food. And for gold luxuries like sugar, you'd get an extra gold. Now the problem with this is that there's a very big difference in the strength of those yields. Essentially, 1 food is about as good as 1 hammer in the sort of the Civ way, but 1 gold is really worth like a third of a hammer. So that meant if you got a bunch of sugar instead of a bunch of citrus or silver, this improvement was worth about a third of what improving those were. And so that's obviously inferior. So it used to be that, if you got to start with sugar, you'd sort of throw your hands up and say, why is the game cursed me? Because it was just so much more inferior. You were losing those, 4, 5, 6 tiles. You were essentially losing, 4 yields from your empire for them. Now, in LECMOD, all improvements are boosted by 2 yield, with 2 exceptions. Incense and tobacco are both 1 gold, 2 faith for 3 yield. But apart with those exceptions, each luxury is improved by 2 yield when you improve them. So for example, the sugar, instead of being 1 gold, is now 1 gold and 1 food. The citrus is now 1 food, 1 gold, and the silver is 1 gold and 1 production. What's significant in this is that there has been a balancing. Essentially, the luxuries that used to be improved with gold now get an extra food or production, and the luxuries that got improved with production or food now get an extra gold. So they're essentially balanced. In that improving, most of the luxuries get you 1 production, food, or culture, and 1 gold. So it's not a big difference to spawn with sugar instead of silver, whereas previously it was a huge difference, a big difference in yield. Okay, that's good. What about the one exception, the luxury everyone wanted to have? Salt. The luxury that improved not only by 2, but by 1 food, 1 production. Easily the strongest luxury. Well, now you can no longer get it as a regional. So you won't have a situation where you have 5 or 6 salt. Salt's still strong. You still like salt, but you just don't have those sort of ridiculous starts where you just get a whole bunch of them and everyone is playing catch up from turn 0. So essentially, the gist of it is that the luxuries are pretty balanced. Things are pretty good. You don't have to cry if you get sugar or cotton or wine, because those luxuries are just fine. The one sort of exception I haven't mentioned here is sea luxuries. I'll talk about that in a later video. But the general gist of this video is that luxuries are balanced now. Don't worry about it.